This episode of Behind the Video is brought to you by the Independent Media Network. The Independent Media Network helps journalists and content creators create their own jobs by building sustainable online businesses. If you're an unemployed or underemployed journalist or content creator, visit imnct.com for more information. Hey everybody, we are back again for Behind the Video, episode number 51, and joining me, as always, is the lovely and talented Tim Street. Hey Tim, how are you?
I didn't think I was going to make it today.
So you have a little allergy thing going on?
Yeah, I took some antihistamine last night. And it knocked me out.
We're lucky you're still with us.
Yeah. Good.
It's a good way to get people to sleep. So we were just talking before the show started that my week has been weekend has been rather crazy. We had our annual shad bake for the Essex Rotary Club, and it's a huge event. It's been going on for 55 years. It's a long-standing tradition. But
who's Shad, and why haven't you cooked him yet?
So yeah, shad keeps avoiding us, but shad is the Connecticut state fish. And it lives in the Connecticut River, so every year we cook a lot of them, and it's a kind of a unique thing because it's not just like a grill. It is a big, huge bonfire, and the shad are nailed to wooden boards and put on the edge of the fire, and they cook from the heat from the fire. It's really a unique thing, and over the years, like the attendance kind of ebbs and flows, and we were getting into one of those ebbs where things were not doing very well. So we decided to start doing a little bit more marketing of the event. We did some traditional stuff with newspapers and other things, but we also did a little YouTube video that has now been viewed almost 10,000 times, and there's been a real
How many people come to the festival, the event?
Well, this year we had about 700 fish plates out the door, so it's pretty big for a small town.
So the video is pretty effective. More people watching that video than came to the event.
That's true, and what's interesting about the video is that it's led to a lot of other things. So the video, because it's so searchable these days, all the local media have done stuff on it. The Fox Connecticut News did a story on us this week, and then the Cooking Channel did a whole big shoot at the event yesterday for their show Man Fire Food, and they found it by Googling. So, it's one of those things where if you are a nonprofit or you have some really unique event going, put a video up. You may not get a lot of traffic on the video necessarily, but it will lead to TV producers who are always looking for something unique to find you. And this was a perfect fit for what the Cooking Channel was doing. So they had a crew of 8. It was quite a thing to see, and it was neat to see how all that came together. So good little nugget there for the week. And I washed the dishes at this event, so my arms are tired.
Nice.
So
Look
Tim,
at you.
Yeah, I'm getting all buff with my NASA T-shirt on. So I'm going to take a shower after this because we just finished cleaning everything with power washers. So there is some manly elements to it. So, but big news though back on the podcast front is we've been tracking the story of these patent trolls who've been coming after podcasters, and the Electronic Frontier Foundation has now taken up the case to try to help podcasters getting impacted by this. Notably, Leo Laporte and Adam Carolla, who we've talked about before, are in the crosshairs for this organization. And the EFF is partnering with the Harvard Cyber Law Clinic. And what they're looking for are people who are kind of digital pack rats, who have examples of what's called prior art to kind of prove that this patent wasn't a unique invention. And what the EFF is looking for is I'll just read it verbatim from their site. We are interested in any prior art that describes accessing a series of media files organized as episodes, tracks, installments, or the like through the use of compilation data that A, is available to be downloaded by a client device, and B, updated to describe the media files that are currently available. We are particularly interested in prior art where this compilation data includes both URLs for the individual media files and some other displayable text describing each available episode, track, and installment. So what this patent is saying is that it was, they hold the idea, so to speak, of something where you download a feed and then have that feed reference media files that are stored on a website with descriptions. So the more that they can collect, the better it's going to be. So if you were in media, independent media, as you were, Tim, perhaps you might have something that is back before this patent filing. They're looking for things in the 90s, I think, is where they're really trying to spend the most time. They're also looking to raise some money because apparently this ability to contest these patents is something new that came out of, and it's only in the United States, by the way, something new that came out of the America Invents Act, where you can contest these things, but it's quite expensive to do so. So they're trying to raise a little bit of money to help file that. So I think this is a good thing that the EFF is stepping up. Now, we don't make enough money or any money, so we're not in the crosshairs yet, but it will impact us, and I'm glad that these bigger fish are fighting the good fight for us. So what do you think, Tim?
I think well, there's two sides to the coin. One, if somebody did actually patent podcasting and they were actually using it before any of the early podcasters, or if it actually is one of the early podcasters, it's interesting, you know? I mean, should they not be given a patent for this if in actuality they did it? Or is it somebody who just saw, oh, hey, this might happen someday, and they wrote up a patent for it, but they never did it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. And sometimes these things get acquired. So somebody had invented this, some startup, and they went out of business, and somebody bought their patent portfolio as the investors were looking to get some of their money back, and that could have been one of those things.
Yeah. I think Steve Garfield might be the first the first vlogger, video blogger, yeah. But I don't know who the first podcaster is. I thought it might be Dave Weiner. Him, and I think also the former VJ on MTV there. Yeah, Adam.
It's too early in the morning, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
The No Agenda. I'm sorry, I started typing again. This thing is driving me crazy. The No Agenda podcast with Adam Curry and John C.
Adam Kerr, yeah.
Yeah, so Adam Curry was out there pretty early with this medium too. So, there's some stuff out there. And it doesn't have to be audio either. It could be video stuff. So maybe Steve Garfield has something there. I'll drop a line.
Yeah, no, I think Steve was around 2000.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see.
2004.
Yeah, that might be too late. But they have gotten some good stuff already from what I understand, but they could always use more just to build up that case. So definitely check that out, and I think it's a good thing that they're doing this. So we'll see where it goes, and we'll keep our audience informed of progress in that regard. So broadcast shows, Tim.
Wow.
Another week for broadcast. Dancing with...
No, wait a second. Are these the actual number? Like, I'm seeing numbers that are in the tens of millions?
Yes, that is correct. These are the correct numbers this week.
Okay.
So,
That's
and these
pretty
are all.
low.
It is pretty low, and we've got at the fifth place is The Voice, the Tuesday night Voice. I haven't watched The Voice at all this year. 10 million and 10.8 million views. I think I told you this. The Javier, who won the first season of The Voice, I went to college with him. I knew him pretty well. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Was he a podcaster?
He was not a podcaster, but he was he was like the kind of guy when we once went bowling because we were RAs, resident assistants, and we had a staff outing at a bowling alley, and they had a karaoke machine, and he just jumped on it, and the whole place was like stunned. So he was always talented and a really, really nice guy. So The Voice occupied our 5 and 4 positions. Criminal Minds, a scripted show, is making the list at number 3, and that is a CBS show at 11 million viewers. Dancing with the Stars dominated the top 2 positions, number 4 and number 5, 14.9 million on the 20th and 15.1 on the 21st of May. We're always about a week behind on these ratings here, but Dancing with the Stars, always popular. Tim, when are we going to see you on Dancing with the Stars?
I'm auditioning next week, so I'll let you know. Yeah,
cool. Well, good luck with that. And
Thank you.
You got to make sure you don't have the antihistamine going before you go in there.
Well, that's my strategy: is to take the antihistamine to have a more cool and calm look.
Well, that could be something they need to drive the ratings for the next season.
Yeah, you just don't want to do that if you're in the NBA.
No, you don't. And that's all that was on cable this weekend, apparently, because that dominates everything from top to bottom. ESPN and TNT splitting the NBA for the top cable ratings of the week, so we don't need to talk more about that. Syndicated shows. This is a new thing that Jason Perrier, our producer, found for us. He's going to be on the show soon, Tim. He said another couple weeks he'll be ready to do it. So it's funny. Number one is Big Bang Theory. That's not funny, but well, the show's funny. But the funny thing is at the end of this list, Jeopardy at number 2.
Wait.
Yep.
No, I'm looking at the viewers. So number 5 is Big Bang Theory.
Right. I'm sorry. That's correct. Our rankings on the show notes were misnumbered, but Big Bang Theory is number 5, Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune number 4 and 3, and they've been there forever. It's amazing how successful those shows are. My grandmother used to watch Wheel of Fortune. She was very good at solving the puzzles. Big Bang in syndication again. This is I guess it's like a weekend version and then a weekday version. Both distributed by the WB, and the weekday version, 9.8 million viewers. No surprise, obviously, because it's on more times during the week. And then, of course, the queen of syndication shows is Judge Judy. People love.
That used to be Oprah, right?
It used to be Oprah. That's true. So I guess Judge Judy just, people love the Brooklyn Law, so it works out quite well. I have relatives that talk like her. It's pretty funny. That's syndicated shows. So Barry Diller, according to paidcontent.org, is saying the internet is eating the cable company, but the cable company in many cases owns the internet. So what's up with that?
Yeah, they've prepared very well, right?
So, well, to some degree, I don't know if it's so bad for Comcast and others to just offer a dumb pipe, and they could offer content over that and charge for that. But, by and large, I mean, it's the same infrastructure and it's far less overhead costs because they don't have to pay licensing fees back to these cable networks, and they don't have to have all the must-carry provisions and everything else. I think it would almost liberate their business. And if you think about it, I pay like I'm on like the higher end speed tier, so I'm paying like $60 a month for my internet service, and I think the base rate is like 40. So that's about what you pay for basic cable here in my state, and all of that is going direct to Comcast and not having to split any revenue with anybody else. So I still don't think internet is going to kill the cable company. I think it's going to kill the cable networks or significantly change them. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's going to change. I mean, things are going to change. I don't know how they're going to shake out. I mean, if you would have told a 1940s radio writer or producer that they'd be extinct in 20 years, they would have laughed in your face, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have a favorite radio drama anymore, but you do have radio, and you probably listen to it in the car occasionally if you're not listening to your podcast.
That's right. We hope you're listening to your podcast. I once got one of the Arbitron surveys.
Right.
And I don't listen to the radio at all. I just listen to podcasts, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I just filled it out and said I was listening to podcasts. There was no option.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we'll see how I probably screwed up everything for that week for the local radio station.
Yeah, they just looked at it and threw it away.
Yeah.
Like, we won't pay attention to this one.
Yeah, that one's an invalid entry. So
Yes.
here's a brief one because we've already talked about this, but Sky, the big British television network owned by Rupert Murdoch, got their Twitter feed hacked, and you know why? Because they didn't turn on the two-factor authentication, so turn the effing thing on. That's all I got to say.
There you go.
So save yourself, save others. The Syrian Electronic Army, you'd think they would have better things to do than hack Western media organizations, but they have apparently got some time. So that's what's going on there. You found this article, Tim. Want to know why there is no Apple TV yet? Then check out Fan TV, and this is according to GigaOM. This is, I guess, another television device called the Fan TV, but it was at the D11 conference, right?
Yeah, Fanhattan was showing it off at D3, and it allows you to put regular cable television in together with internet television, which kind of like if I was imagining what Apple TV the real new Apple TV would be, it would be something like that. Whether or not we get to see it during WWDC this month, I don't know. But it sounds really cool, but there's all kinds of hurdles in how you get the cable TV companies on board with something like this. But as a consumer, it sounds like a great device where I can get everything I want to watch in one place.
And it looks like they don't want to offer it to through retail, so you have to buy it through your pay television provider that's already there. And I'll tell you what, that's probably a good strategy because the cable boxes are horrible. I mean, I've got this Comcast box. I don't even have it plugged in because I had to take the box to get the service that I've got because I just watch HBO on the iPad, the Go thing.
Love HBO Go.
But that box is a space heater. That thing is like you walk by it, even when it's off, it's like radiate. You can see the heat coming
Yeah.
out of it. You know,
Did your electric bill go down when you
it did.
unplugged it?
It actually did. I bought an electric car and got rid of the cable box, and I was net even. So,
There you go.
yeah. So that's it. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. It's a neat strategy, looking to actually play ball with the cable people, and Apple certainly wants to just displace them. So, neat stuff there. Big box office news here.
Wait. So, Hangover
Yes.
3.
Yes.
That's how I feel right now. Hangover 3, 15 million
15 million at the number 6 position in the U.S.
in the U.S. I saw it. I liked it. It was fun. If you go see it, make sure you stay through the credits. That's all I'm saying.
So do that. No spoilers, but stay through the credits. And it was 15 million just this weekend, so they've done a little bit more overall. But it did drop down fairly quickly. But it opened up overseas this week, so it's brought in about $50 million worldwide, with Germany and Russia being the two top countries that are topping the charts for the movie there. Hangover 2 did $332 million worldwide. Pretty impressive little run there for that movie. So I think it'll continue to do well as it continues through its process there. Number 5, Star Trek.
Did you see that?
I haven't been out of the house yet, but I will see it.
What? Would you have a baby or something and go to some fish fry?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we brought the baby to the fish thing yesterday, and that was okay initially, and then she had a meltdown. So
No, that happens.
yeah, then everybody stares at you. So
Yeah.
but at least she's little. So if you're like little cute infants, it's not.
What
as bad.
is wrong with these people taking
Yeah.
such a
Hey,
little
little
baby
babies.
outside of the house?
Exactly. So luckily she was cute and happy for most of it. So everyone was more fawning than hostile. But number 5 is there, $181 million overall so far for Star Trek. I don't think it's doing as well as they thought it would do, but perhaps it'll have a life of its own as it moves forward. I guess they also, according to Nikki Fink at Deadline Hollywood, they also just started running some ads that were a little bit more broad appeal, not just Trekkie kind of ads. So perhaps there's a second life coming for the film as it continues through the summer. Disney's Epic is number 4, $16 million, but it just was released internationally, so they expect to start hauling in some more cash on that. The big disappointment of the week is what's in our number 3 position is After Earth. It's no coincidence that you're seeing Will Smith and his son on every media channel known to mankind, because they're trying to sell this movie. But 26.5 million. Sony predicted it would do almost double that. So a lot of missed opportunities with After Earth. But we'll see how next week goes for that. What did better than expectation was Now You See Me, which is like a bank heist movie about a magician that uses his magic trick for evil. That was $27.5 million. Fast and Furious 6 still topping the charts. $170 million cum so far in the U.S. $34 million this weekend. So that is a pretty good run there for a movie.
Seems to be a franchise that is one of those that somebody likes, but I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I don't know either, but apparently there's a lot of people seeing it. It must be I think what works about it is that the cars, you just put the modern car in there and tune it up, and you'll get audience, right? Because the cars always change. So
well, yeah, the car's a star, right?
Exactly.
When I was a kid growing up in Orlando, we had a Navy base in Orlando. Now, don't ask me why. I'm sure there was some political reason.
Right. We got to protect Disney World.
Yeah, it was a training base on dry land for the Navy, and it's where all the recruits would come in. And there was a local mall called the Fashion Square Mall, and they were known as Fashion Square Sailors. Those guys would have loved Fast and Furious. If you ever had any kind of movie with a little testosterone in it, the movie theater was packed with white clothing.
It's so funny you should say that, because here in Connecticut we have a submarine base in New London, and there is a mall called the Crystal Mall located right next to it, and we used to go there all the time as high school kids. And the same thing, it was actually an odd thing. You would get these punk rockers with like the purple mohawks and stuff, and then you'd have these very fine dressed Navy officers and crewmen walking through the mall and looking their best. And it was quite a dichotomy there. So, but it's good. But you're right. That's probably what fills up those movie theaters. So. Now, there's an effort amidst here, according to Wired magazine. There's theater owners are trying to shorten the length of movie trailers to 2 minutes.
Well, why is that? Is that because you walk in and you spend 45 minutes watching trailers before you get to watch the
It is.
movie?
Although, the first thing that came to mind for me was the fact that it's not so much the movie trailer issue, it's the fact that they're running so many local commercials in addition to that. So, you pay the $7 or whatever you pay to get into a movie, and you're getting inundated with local cable ads in addition to trailers. But I happen to like trailers. There's a guy I used to intern for in college when I was in college, State Rep Andy Fleischman here in Connecticut, and he had put it in a bill to not limit the length of trailers, but to give a time in which the actual movie is going to start. So a start time for when the trailers begin and a start time for the movie. The bill didn't get anywhere, but I thought that was a good compromise, right?
That would work in most of America. In Los Angeles, you have to plan in advance and make sure you buy your tickets ahead of time and have an actual seat, or that you get there. Because they're sold out. I mean, like if you go to the Burbank 16 theater, those theaters are huge, but they sell out, and you're either sitting in the very front row or they're closed. I mean, They actually have sellout signs on the movies. So it's kind of weird how LA is a different. There's a lot of movie freaks here.
Well, it's funny here where I am. I'm in a small town, so we have a theater. It's got like 12 theaters, but they're tiny. And if you get there too late, you're either looking up or you and your date are sitting in two different locations. But the weekend after the release of the movie, typically you'll have the whole theater to yourself. It's like the biggest living room in the world. So pretty cool stuff. So let's move on to YouTube, shall we? Topping our YouTube charts this week. The weekly charts is still messed up, so we're looking at the daily charts. What I might do next week if the weekly thing is still screwed up, I might take a look at Reddit, because Reddit's got a really active video section. We'll get more than just YouTube.
Who also has just started a top 50 is TubeFilter.
Oh, really?
So our buddies over at TubeFilter.
Well, we should do that then.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at that and see. I just got an email from them that they're starting that. So, and if you guys haven't checked out tubefilter.com, check it out. It's really focused on web videos.
Terrific. Well, that is definitely worth looking at. And TubeFilter, we get a lot of good news out of them too. So I think maybe we'll use that next week. So Jason will make a note of that, as I know he's always watching us. So here's the top 5 on YouTube today. The 5th one is Stick Figure Spotlight. These are stick figures beating the crap out of each other and mutilating one another with weaponry. So if you're into that kind of thing, apparently 2 million people are. And this is a series. This is like the 3rd version of this. And I was watching this thinking, like, what a great game this would make. So maybe that might be the impetus to do that. Number 4, why it's hard out there for a lefty. This is BuzzFeed, and it's funny. BuzzFeed's videos are just like their website, kind of intermixing of images and text. So, but 2.2 million people found that shareable enough.
Do you have lefty friends?
My mother is a lefty.
Really?
Yep. How about you, Tim?
My best friend's a lefty.
And I think it's good to have a little mix of left and right.
But both hand-wise and politically.
And politically, yeah. So it's funny. I have friends that are the opposite. They are righty lefties. But always interesting. What a dynamic and diverse country we have. Number 3 is actually kind of funny. This is a video out of Brazil. Carneiro ataca pessoas em frente. I can't even pronounce this.
Brazilian sheep attack.
Yes. So there's this sheep in Brazil attacking people, and the bizarre thing is, like, the sheep is just standing around, and I think it had its child or young one or its mate with it, and there's like 3 network news crews there watching this thing headbutt people. So pretty funny. It's a good YouTube video, and it knocked a woman down. It almost knocked somebody off a motorcycle, and everyone's just standing around. And then they bested it. One guy tried to do karate on it, and the sheep got him where it counts, and that was it for him. But check it out; it's pretty funny stuff. Number 2, continuing his marketing effort, is Will Smith with the worst penalty kick of all time. 4.3 million. He was at a soccer match, and they asked him to come out and make a penalty kick, and he totally whiffed it. So pretty embarrassing for Will Smith. His son fired off a better one, but the goalie grabbed it.
Got it.
And then number 1, our friend Hola Soy German, terminar una relación, which I would assume he's terminating a relationship.
Breaking up, baby.
Breaking up is hard to do. So 6.3 million viewers. So big growth in Spanish language YouTube stuff going on here. So that's interesting to see that. And I think that's going to be something we should look at too. Is internationally, we're going to see a lot more stuff growing in the charts here. That some areas will be able to. It'll be popular in some places and not others. We should try to figure out.
Yeah, I think it's happened in the past where we'd have like a Turkish video one week be #1 on the charts, and we're like, what?
What? Yeah.
What?
Well, I think in the case of like this sheep attack, it's universally slapstick funny, so it tends to work on that. So now, Tim, I know last week you were hooked on Arrested Development, and
yeah, I've almost made it through. I think I have one episode that I've watched halfway, and then the last one to watch.
I have started from season 1 because I watched the first episode years ago and never went
Gotcha.
back. So now I'm appreciating the humor a little bit more. So I've started.
It seems to age well. I mean, the series ages well.
It really does. And what's funny is I was watching this. I'm like, wow, it's been 10 years already. I didn't realize it had been that long since it first aired, and it does really do quite well. So Netflix, as you know, did a revival of this thing, and they've been pushing it heavily. And I guess the reviews were kind of mixed, and it actually impacted their stock position. The stock went down 6.3%.
Crazy, man.
Crazy. I'll tell you, there's a lot of risk here, and it's being watched. So I don't know what I guess it's hard, right? I mean, they have to show subscriber growth and attach it to these efforts. So maybe it's too early to say bad reviews are going to hurt subscriptions, because at the end of the day, if they've had the subscriptions, they've got the revenue. So we'll see what happens. But I am really excited for the next season of House of Cards, which has been recorded and just hasn't been produced, but they haven't released it yet. But that's going to be
it's
fun
coming.
to watch. It's a great show. Love it. So Phil DeFranco sells his entire YouTube network to Revision 3.
That's right.
And now he's going to be VP, Senior Vice President, and of the Phil DeFranco Network. So I guess
what's he? He's 25, 26.
Really?
Like that.
Good for him.
But
And
Will Shatner was 26 when he played Captain Kirk. So,
so it's not so right. And he's got a good thing going there, and that's good for him. So
yeah, he's done really well, and it's interesting to see him cash out this way. I wonder what I haven't seen it surface how much he got, which I think will come out eventually. And the other thing is, what's he going to do? Is this, is he going to keep doing the same content? Is he just going to keep working for the man, or is there some type of earn out to where he can leave and go start something else? So that to me is really interesting. And it also, are we going to see more stars get bought up as this happens? I mean, it does feel like there is momentum now into this independent content space if you have an audience, if you've built an audience, but you have to have that audience.
Yes, actually, this raises a question. Is it possible that there's a max that you can really earn as a Phil DeFranco? Because he's hit the top of the YouTube chart, right? I mean, it's hard to get higher than where he's at consistently, because you could certainly have a viral thing happen or whatever.
Right.
But he's been consistently generating a ton of traffic, a ton of viewership, ton of audience. But is there a point where maybe he's looking at the numbers saying, I have a lot of value in what I've learned, being able to start to monetize that and make that skill set available where he could probably make more money as an executive, right?
Right.
So that could be where he's at too, because it's I just wonder what these guys are really making in the end. But it's interesting to see his approach versus somebody like Ray William Johnson, who wanted to keep operating independently but have a network kind of own his channel. So.
Well, if you look at Freddie W., right? I mean, those guys doing video game high school and everything, they've been offered different things, but they don't want to go to work for somebody else and be told what to do. They want to keep doing what it is they do. And
they do.
It'll be interesting to see with Phil as well. I mean, Phil's always been very vocal and uses the foul language, and now that he's a Discovery Channel employee,
right,
what's going to happen there? So it's interesting times, and I love being here.
It is fun. This is like where we were when radio was invented. It's really it's neat to watch all this
or
stuff.
TV. I think TV.
Yep.
Early days of TV.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And the best part is that back in the early days of TV, nobody could do it, really. I mean, there was a couple of networks, and if you were talented enough, maybe they would give you some very valuable piece of airspace. But now we can all do it, and unfortunately, we can all do it.
Yeah,
it's sifting through the crap. So now 5 Amazon pilots get the green light. So it looks like, remember, Amazon had put out a bunch of these little pilot shows to get some audience reaction, and now it looks like they've whittled it down to 5. So the John Goodman political comedy Alpha House, the startup-centric Betas, This is
Love
according.
John Goodman.
He's awesome.
He's great. He's
He is
just
a
great.
he is a class act. This is from Engadget, by the way. John Goodman's Alpha House, Centric Betas, Kid Series, and Bots, Creative Galaxy, and Tumbleleaf. And check out Engadget, and you'll get the whole breakdown, or you can just go to Amazon and check that out, and we'll see where that goes. But it's a neat difference between how Netflix is approaching it and how Amazon's approaching it. So I've got both an Amazon Prime and a Netflix thing, so I'm well entertained. And I get free shipping. So
There you go. Love the free shipping.
love the free shipping. So we've got an app of the week, and then we'll talk about our topic of the week, which are the changes to Google Plus, which we think have been really, really good. And then we might do, and actually this is a good opportunity, and we're not sure how many people will call in because I know some people are watching. We will do a roundtable at the end of the broadcast, so which we'll put out on the podcast when we do the recorded version. So if you're watching live, and you can always watch us live Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, go to behindthevideo.com/call, and that will dump you into our Hangout. And don't worry, you're going to be muted, so you have time to get yourself adjusted. And then when we are ready for the roundtable, we will unmute you and bring you in to talk to us. So let's talk about the app of the week, which is related to Google Plus. Actually, we've been using this Hangout toolbox to put our lower thirds up.
Yeah.
And there's some other stuff on here I didn't even know it had. I was just poking around in here this morning. So there is something called Stream, which you can set up to monitor Twitter hashtags and the chats coming over on the YouTube version of our video, which I never knew was there. So you can consolidate most of what you most of what would be talking about your thing right inside the Google Plus window there, which is really pretty slick. So that is the Hangout toolbox.
It feels like every time I turn around with Google Plus, there's a change. But wow,
So
there have been some changes.
yes, there have been, and that will lead us to our topic this week. Because we actually talk about Google Plus a lot, and it gets this bad rap because it's not Facebook. And I've been struggling, and I kind of come and go with it, right? So when they make a change, I go back in and I'm using it quite a bit, and then I kind of disappear again. The Hangouts thing is certainly the killer app, and it's made this show possible because we were trying all this.
I mean, think of all the things that we aren't doing that we would have to do if we didn't have Google Plus.
Yep.
Let's list them. Let's
Okay.
list them.
So, we'd have to have, we both have to have Skype, which is free, but we need
Yeah.
the Skype. Then we need some way to record both of us talking on Skype.
Yep.
And one of the things that people run into with recording Skype is that you have to you got to do some wiring here, either digitally or physically, to make it all work. So there's a little bit of effort involved with that.
So if we wanted a really clean version of it, we would both have to record the show and then email or FTP one of our conversations to the other person to
Right.
edit the show together.
Then have to sync it up and do all this crazy stuff. And granted, it would sound probably slightly better than our show does now, but I like to think the quality of the content, at this point makes it easier. And from a setup perspective, right now the setup for our show takes me all of 5 minutes. We still have Jason still has a lot of work on the producing side to get our topics together, but it's not much to get this thing set up. It's loading a browser, it's dialing up Tim on there and hitting a button, and we're up.
And hoping that I'm awake.
And exactly, and make sure that the allergy medication time lapse is there. But to do this with Skype, it's a significantly greater amount of work to get the thing up and running, and to do video with Skype, it makes it even more complicated. Audio is one thing, but to record video and have the thing switch back and forth and do all that, it's becoming.
And then you tab the Skype go out live.
Right, and then
Where
you got to
would that
find.
go?
Well, there's a good question. Where would it go? So you probably put it out on Ustream, maybe,
Ustream, right.
live stream,
Yeah.
Justin.tv. But then you've got to let people know you're there. And the cool thing with G Plus is that when we're on talking to each other, everybody we know is going to see us talking to each other also, which is so the marketing is kind of built into it as well. So
And we can send out invites now.
we can, which we did, and we got a lot of response to it. So I don't know if anybody showed up, but they they said they would. But it's a great way to network with people. And I think what's been interesting is that, if you think about the people that would be interested in this show, we're not after a Facebook audience necessarily, right? I mean, we're after people that are making media, not necessarily, they consume it, but they're not passionate consumers, they're passionate makers of media. And I'm finding that Google Plus is, and I think we said this last week also, Google Plus is a lot like the internet before AOL showed up. And I mean that by, the internet initially was very hard to get into, and it was home to people that were really into technology and into the internet. And Google Plus has that feeling for me, in that it's become a place where a lot of opinion leaders and a lot of innovators tend to talk to each other. And it's a great way to network with people that you don't know, because I think it's slightly more public in how it approaches things. And Google's made some changes, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk about to help facilitate more of these meetings. And one of them is the new Google Plus communities. And in many ways, this isn't much different than the old Google groups or the old Yahoo groups or whatever. But it's integrated.
But it's on the page. It's right there, front and center.
It is, and it's integrated, and the notifications work across it. And what's been incredible about it is that I made one just for the heck of it called Independent Media Video Producers, and 20 people found their way into there just by searching. They were looking for other people to talk to. Our little podcast now has its own community where if you join the community, we hope you do, you'll get notified when we have a show that comes on the air, and it also gives us the opportunity to network back and forth. And it's so functional that I have made this our homepage, because it just works really well like that. And it's got it's just so easy to maintain. It's not like a WordPress thing where you got to log in and do all this stuff. I mean, it's just you just dump links in and you're done. So I'm really impressed with that. And it also the other thing that really works well, especially for a live show, is that you can now integrate your events into the community and integrate your Hangout YouTube video. It'll embed it automatically into the event page. And the event page becomes a chat room where you can have this really vibrant discussion with people while you're doing the show, and in a way that just is a little bit less segmented, in that the video is there with the chat, and the link that you send out for the event is the link that people go to watch the show. And that is just a tiny little thing, but makes all the difference in the world. And I think those components there are really contributing much to it. And again, I think because Google is really working at integrating Plus into everything that they do, even when you're in Gmail, you're going to see a little notification that something's happening in the community. And I think that that kind of stuff is not going to make it make it a Facebook replacement, but it's going to make it something different than Facebook. And I think the quality of the interaction is I've found to be much, much better. So that is why we really are kind of doubling down on the Google Plus experience, because I think the people that are our audience or could be our audience are there. And I think especially for the work that you might be doing as independent producers, don't forget that there hasn't really been a hit show that's come out of Google Plus yet, but there's a lot of people watching, and I think you can certainly make some use of that. So that's why I like Google Plus. I don't know, have you been doing more with it, Tim?
I've definitely been playing around in it more. I mean, when it first came out, I played with it a lot, and it was kind of like, but now it just looks so cool.
The new look is really nice too.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool look. So I'm definitely it's got some ideas for shows that are hitting me pretty hard. So we'll see what happens.
And I think it's going to get better too, because now the other thing that's happening with YouTube is that I'm finding that they're starting to let more people get into their live broadcasting facility. So I think if you now have 1,000 subscribers, they will get you into the club, and that'll give you a higher quality video output, and one that's not going to have ads embedded along the way that you might see with Ustream and others. And I think that.
So please subscribe to our
yes,
show.
Please do, because we know we have a few 300 more to go, and we're ready to go live. Now, of course, that, Tim, would create a little bit more complications in the setup side, but we'd have much better quality video. So we're also going to try to give a shot. We applied to see if maybe BitTorrent will let us play with their live streaming solution too, because I think that's a pretty neat product. So. We'll see what develops from it. But you can embed all this stuff right into the event, and obviously they give preference to YouTube and to Hangouts, but I'm sure other things would work there as well. So there's some really cool stuff going on with Google Plus, and I think you're going to find a lot of people to network with, and you can do that starting in our community. It's a little plug, because we're starting to get people in there. So I know Tim's been inviting people, I've been inviting people, and we really want to start getting more conversations on in between, and kind of make this show the starting
we'd
point.
We'd like to find out what you're interested in talking about, because we put this show together on stuff that interests us. But if you'd like to know more about new shows that you're working on or your friends are working on, we're more than happy to talk with you about it or have you on the show as a guest.
Absolutely, especially if you want to talk about what you're doing, because we really want to know the stuff that you're producing and what you're learning as you can conduct that process. So, well, Tim, that's all I got for Google Plus. Do you have anything more to add, or should we wrap it up?
No, just use it. Check it out. Let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, we will wrap this show up.
Where can people find you, Lon?
People can find me on the internets at lonseidman.com, which conveniently links to my Google Plus page. And Tim, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at 1TimStreet.
And that will do it for this edition of Behind the Video. Don't forget to follow our community on Google Plus and tune in live every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern-ish, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, and we will be back. Ish. Emphasis on the ish. We'll begin back again next week, and if you missed it, you can watch us in our Google Plus community on YouTube and Stitcher and iTunes as well. So that will do it. This show is a wrap. Stories for this episode were compiled by producer Jason Perrier. Follow him on Twitter at JASONPERRIER. Behind the Video is a production of Ape Digital Incorporated and the Independent Media Network, LLC. All rights reserved.